right. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, the Love Session Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy J. Rock Howard. Tonight's topic is going to be romancing on a budget. So if you don't have your drink, fix you some. The Love Session Podcast. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. So everybody has things on their mind going on right now. How can I do this when my hours have been cut because of COVID? You still got to live. And tonight we're going to talk about romancing on a budget. Or you might be in a relationship, but you're trying to do things that you used to, but at a reduced capacity of the funds to try to save money. This podcast is for you. And now, the session. Hello, 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 hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Love Session Podcast. I am your boy, Jeremy J. Rock, and thank you all those tuning in. So tonight's topic is romancing on a budget. So, what is romancing on a budget? Romancing on a budget is basically making your money stretch the most. And so, fellas, ladies, you might want to do something special, but your funds are limited. Everybody's trying to stretch out the money, trying to make sure everything lasts the most. And I'm here to help. So, first discussion is actually your budget. How much money are you dedicating to the event? The event could be one of several things, whether you're going out on the dates, um, going to a neutral location on the date, or you're actually hosting at your spot if you have one. So, first thing is the general idea. So, what is the evening that you're thinking about? All right, so some people can't cook. Fortunately, for me, I am blessed enough to be able to cook. So, if that individual is comfortable with coming over to my spot, be saving money, hey, you can come through my crib. Uh, I'll cook, or if she wants to cook, she can cook. Uh, Show me how she does in the kitchen, and we'll enjoy evening talk, possibly play video games, board games. So I'll sit back and or even listen to music and chill. So that's a whole bunch of dates right there. I just gave you some free knowledge. But another thing that you can do with romancing on a budget is basically cooking, doing it yourself. So, depending on your living situation, you can actually go out to get a nice hotel room. Uh, Extended stays actually have kitchenette sets. I've actually had a few dates there in my younger days. If I want to cook for the individual, I come through while I'm cooking. She can relax in the bed, or she can help me in the kitchen, depending on what she wants to do, or she can be um, relaxing. So those are several different things. And now, fellas, when you're doing something for the first time for somebody, you really want to keep it simple. You know, don't necessarily go overboard, and I would definitely caution on the risk of error for doing something new that you haven't done before, especially when you're running on a time restraint. Last thing you want to do is try some new recipe, and it goes south, and then you're like, oh my god. So speaking of experience that actually happened with me before the relationship, before we started dating, I had a date and came to the extended stay, and so I said I wanted to cook for you. She told me her favorite dish was chicken Alfredo. So of course, it's very hard to mess up chicken Alfredo. So I got an extended stay and total wear bathing suit. So that was my kind of like ploy because I wanted to give her a massage. So she had on the bathing suit, so I was able to massage her and she'll be comfortable as well. Um, Another pointer. So get to the extended stay and cooking, and I misgauged the stove at the extended stay, and I didn't have the water at the right temperature when boiling the noodles. And because I was rushing, I didn't cook it all the way through, so they were crunchy. And thank God everything else overcasted the crunchiness of the noodles. And so she enjoyed the sauce. Meat was great, and she really enjoyed herself. And I was able to give her a massage. We talked and enjoyed a nice evening, innocent, and it was great, honestly. So those are some things. So some might say, but I'm romancing on a budget, and I don't have my own spot. Okay, this is where communication is key. Talk with that individual. Let them know your current situation. Hey, I have living arrangements or where I'm staying at, I can't host for whatever reasons. Are you comfortable with either me coming to your place and us doing something there or in a hotel room, extended stay where I could cook and then you go your way and I spend the night so I won't be wasting my money. Or if you want to spend the night, depending on how the night goes, I'm fine with that as well. So once you get the location and details, you're going to cook. Um, you always have to have your budget in mind. So when you're cooking on a budget, I say gauge anywhere between $40 to $60 if you're doing something in house and then you're preparing everything. So you really can feed a multitude. But if you're only dealing with two, $40 to $60 is plenty of money to be able to buy food, drinks, and little extras to try to jazz it up a little bit. So me personally, I am a fan of candles. If you've ever seen any of my Snapchats, my um, J-Rocksem, J-R-O-C-K-S-E-M, um, you know, you can see how I like to do things. And when I'm in a relationship, I also do the same with that individual. I'm a very romantic person by nature. And so that portrays with the things that I do daily versus when I'm with somebody. So I'm no stranger to actually doing a milk bath with somebody if I'm in a relationship with them, having floating candles or rose petals, actual rose petals. You don't have to go broke. You can actually buy you a half dozen roses and actually do them yourselves versus buying them. And that way, not only are you saving money, but you're still able to have the aesthetic of what you're trying to portray. Okay. I don't recommend using real rose petals if you're actually putting them on the ground. That's a waste of money to me. But if you got it like that, hey, go for it. So back in my ski days, West Commons 227D, uh, people have been known to see rose petals from time to time leading from the parking lot to my apartment. And it's like, oh, a lot of fellas actually picked up on it. It's cool, that's just me though. And you could actually smell when I'm cooking. I'm talking about I had the whole comments lit. Um, so, you know, that's a thought, a gesture, just depending on it. And then, fellas, make sure that you're actually portraying what you want to do. You know, hey, what's up, Brandon? Thank you so much for tuning in, my bros. Uh, you can do a lot with so little. And it's amazing with between $40 to $60 what you can do. Dollar Tree is going to be your friend. Uh, some people may have stigmatisms about going to Dollar Tree. The fact of the matter is, if you're still stuck up on the store name and non-name brands, you really need to grow up. Because at the end of the day, you need functionality that runs within your budget. Uh, Dollar Tree, you can really get a lot of things. If you want to do floating candles, they have all the materials that you need there. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Imagine you being in a relationship and you know that they're on their feet all day. at that particular time. I was with somebody who was a cook in the restaurant field. So, I actually had to, well, I didn't have to. That was just me. So I knew she was going to be on her feet all day because she's cooking, prepping, whether they moved her from the line or whatever. So when she would come home at the apartment, um, I would actually have a warm bath waiting for her. Lavender, she liked lavender bubble bath. So, fellas, you got to really do your homework to find out what individuals like. Find out what type of scents they like, what type of flowers they like, whether or not they like sweets. So, certain things like with her, whatever she ate, she really didn't like sweets. She was real big into working out. Only time she ate sweets is when she was around the time for her cycle. So whenever she started craving, I already knew, okay, watch out for the next 5 days. But yeah, so just find out what they like and incorporate that with your budget. So Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree. They got scents, they got bath washes, they have bubble baths, candles. Depending on what you want to do, they actually have the small candles that you can put into something nice. They actually have like the little glass, I don't know if you call them little glass bowls or things that you can actually put the candle in and light it so it can be safe, save the mess. And they actually have those electric candles, which are awesome. You get like a six pack for like $1 or something if you can catch it. And I got about 24 in my room. So if I'm actually getting to that point, um, and we're going to be in the bedroom, I will actually put out the electric candles in certain areas to have the light going, and I have the massage oils next to my lamp on my side, and I have the music ready. So when she came in, we make our room back there. It's already set in the mood um, for the massage. You know, fellas, if you don't know about massaging, it's a very good idea to get you some massage books and find you somebody willing to allow you to practice on them to get better through massages. I actually had a few people in my college days that I had was able to get plenty of practice on. It wasn't me trying to get with them. It's actually, hey, I'm trying to get better at massaging. I need somebody to help me. Let me know what you like. So when I go to this individual, I can know how to approach it. And I was very fortunate enough to have friends to be able to allow me to practice on them and actually get my massage game better. So, communication, friends, and your tools. So you got your $40, $60, you got your aesthetics, whether you're going to do rose petals, candles, incense, smells to set the mood. What about the food? Okay. Any get together dealing with any type of person, especially ladies, they can eat. Okay. So you're going to make sure that you're able to have it so that they're satisfied. You don't have to gorge themselves, but make sure that they're satisfied. You can't go wrong with pastas, salads, and just fellas ask probing questions, try to find out what it is they do and they don't like. Some ladies might go on any regimens if they're trying to flush out their cycle. And if they don't want to eat too heavy but want to make sure that they're full, you can't go wrong with fish. Okay, fish is one of the key things when you're going out to a restaurant. If you don't want to eat too heavy, but you want to make sure that you have something on your stomach and full. So if you're drinking wine or alcohol, you really can't go wrong with like a salmon. I'm a particular fan of the rainbow trout at Publix. Okay, let me turn off these notifications. I'm sorry, I should did that earlier. My bad. So you really can't go wrong with that. The rainbow trout at Publix is amazing. Some people like to take off the skin. Me personally, I like to season both sides and eat the skin because the skin actually has a lot of nutrients in it that are beneficial to the body, the vitamins and minerals inside the skin. So if you don't like it, that's fine. You can leave it on there and then you can actually take it off, or If you're good with the knife, you can fillet it off. It's up to you. Fellas, you can also, when you're pairing out your food, you need to have your protein, um, a vegetable, whether it's like a side salad, and it's nothing wrong with like a little bit of bread. You can get you a loaf of French bread, about 98 cents, and you actually don't have to waste money on buying the actual garlic butter combined. You can get you some butter, let it sit to room temperature, and add you some garlic salt to it. Mix it up. You can actually taste it. And if it's to your liking, it's not too salty, it's going to taste that much better on warm bread. Okay. Lather it, cut it in half, cut it in your sections, lather it up, broil it, or bake it a little bit and broil it, depending on how you like your bread. And you got your little piece of bread. You can't go wrong with a salad. Um, so down south, we all know that a lot of people like ranch on almost everything. But what if this is your first time and you don't know what she likes? So that's where it comes in. You can actually go to Greer's and actually find a lot of their salad dressings on sale with Kraft. Get you a vinaigrette of some sort, a ranch dressing, and then you can try something new. Okay, because you never know what they like. But if you have a choice, that actually shows the thought that you actually put into it, the forefront of it, and that really is going to leave a good impression on her by you giving her options. Like at my house, I have multiple alcohols, also a cocktail hour, pause. This is just a Long Island iced tea. Again, falling on the budget. This is already pre-made. Captain's Morgan. I'm not jazzing it up tonight. Just a little bit of Long Island iced tea, minus the coke. But yeah, so there are plenty of things that you can do with that. So you got your food, you got your bread, your protein, and your vegetables. Okay, now it's the presentation. All right, so you got everything done, whether you actually do it or if you're not a cook, fellas or ladies, it's no shame in it. Buy you something and then plate it. Plate it basically means getting the food from wherever you got it from and actually making it presentable and enticing on the actual plate. Okay, so if you're not real good in cooking and but you want to have something that's wholesome and that can leave a positive impression, you really can't go wrong with Olive Garden. Olive Garden has a lot of different things. You can actually get your salads already dressed up and have the dressings on the side. You can actually get you a family meal for $40. Okay, so that's within your $40 to $60 budget. And then you can get you some aesthetic things, whether it's incense to help set the mood right, or some candles to be within your $40 to $60 budget. Right. So you got your food. Now the entertainment. Okay, you can only eat so much before you get full, and then you have to move on to the next phase of the evening. So what do you do? All right, fellas, it's good to invest in board games. You really can't go wrong with board games at your house. They're good for several reasons. For entertaining. At my house, I have Trouble, Connect Four. I actually have playing cards, and it's another game. I think it's a Sorry or something. A good board game we can have more than one person play it. And the reason for that is what happens if there's a storm or whatever, or something happens when your internet is out. You're not able to use your Fire Stick or your TV or broadcast, and you have to go back old school. See, I'm an '80s baby, so I got CDs on deck, mixed CDs on deck, um, and I have options when it comes to music in the event that my internet is down. So that might be a good thing to think about. Um, Back in my day, when back in middle school, high school, if you had a girl that you like, we would actually make them a mixtape. Okay. And the actual mixtape was actually you sitting at your cassette player, listening to the radio all day. And when you find out or catch a glimpse of that song, you actually record the song from the radio and make it compiled front and back, and then you actually give it to them. Hey, I thought about you. I made you this mixtape. And everybody at that time, within that time frame, already knew the amount of thought, time, and action that it would take to make a mixtape back then. Because we actually had little cassette tapes. And you only had 30 to 60 minutes per side. So you really had to put in some work and due diligence to catch the songs that you want to put on it. And sometimes it could take you weeks to make a mixtape because the radio back then didn't play the same songs over and over again. But now, pretty much, unfortunately, in my area, you can darn near count when they're gonna play this song and how many times they play it, which is very sad. But it is what it is. But yeah, so get you some music, set the mood, and there's nothing wrong with doing like a little skip through. Again, like I said, if you set up the music in a good order, it can actually illustrate and or orchestrate the evening and actually guide things along. So it's always good to have you a couple of 4 or 5 chill songs where you're able to listen to, eat, groove, and then depending on your plans and ambitions for the evening, you can either pick it up or slow it down. So back in my college days, I actually had, and I actually found them. I found my old CD cassette carrier back in the day. Before there was streaming, we actually had to have CDs. My party in a disc. So if anybody is ever fortunate enough, blessed to be a part of the parties in the West Commons, a lot of times those were my party in the disc. Or if you got it from the guys selling CDs and DVDs, they did their best, but we're trying to orchestrate it. And don't get me wrong, some of their bedroom mixes were actually pretty on point for the most part. So you can actually play and play. You can get the point. All right. But yeah, so that's another thing with music. So the last thing is activities. So if you get in to know somebody, it's always good to ask permission to make sure that you don't make people feel uncomfortable. So, like, let's say, for instance, sit across from one another. If you have an area where you're able to sit closer after conversating for a little while, it's nothing wrong with asking, is it okay if I can sit over there with you? And if she says yes, yes. If she says no, that's fine. Continue the conversation from where you are. The key thing is you just want to make sure that the individual is comfortable and enjoys themselves. And the more comfortable they are, the more things will progress and it increase the likelihood of you spending more time with one another. So, yes. So, again, romancing on the budget, caps, as far as like what to do, key points, get you a budget. How much money do you have dedicated or free to be able to use for the event? I always recommend, fellas, if you're entertaining and hosting, have a budget anywhere between $40 to $60 because within that price range, that's more than enough to get food to cook. Aesthetics, if you need to get aesthetics or would like to get aesthetics, whether it be rose petals, flowers, candles, incense, food, and a bottle of wine. You really can't go wrong with a bottle of wine. I particularly like to go with a red wine because not everybody likes white wine. You know, it just all depends. Some people have their picks. I personally like to go with a sweet red wine because it's very palatable, and a lot of things that I cook are light. So I pair red wine with white meat, light meat. So my chickens, my seafoods, and I pair my white for cheeses, dips, or beef. That's how I like to pair mine when I cook. So I may be wrong, I may be off, but I haven't got any complaints yet with my pairings with foods for food, my wines. So me personally, I like Moscato. Stella popular now. It's very popular. I actually have both. I have a bottle of Stella Rose Black, and I actually have a bottle of Moscato. I actually have two in the fridge right now. So, again, choices, options. When you're hosting, you want to make sure that it's the most pleasant experience possible. And it's nothing wrong with asking the individual to participate. You know, I love it when I'm cooking and they offer to help. That really makes me feel good. Having them around talking, and it actually makes that more enjoyable. Because if you've ever been tired and cooked something, you notice how it didn't taste the best. But when you actually have time and you're mentally prepared when you cook, it actually tastes better. You can actually cook the same meal 10 times and have 10 different attitudes and personas and moods, and to be able to taste 10 different ways. And for me personally, I like to be in a positive mind frame. Make sure that you got your music going on. Depending on what you're trying to do. I like to do old school, new school, R&B. Uh, I forgot what they call it. Um, Neo soul. Okay. I like that going on. I have that different playlist going on. you know, get your music going. Okay. When you get your down to the food, make sure you got you a protein, um, a light bread. You know, you can't go wrong with French bread, especially if you make it homemade. That actually shows your skills, your forethought, and you can taste the initiative with homemade French bread, garlic bread. Or if you even want to go up another notch, do garlic cheese bread. Who doesn't like cheese unless you're lactose? And the majority of the people who are lactose, they love cheese. Yeah, so that's another thing too. It won't hurt to keep some lactate and some vino around just in case, because the last thing you want to do is make you some good food and lactose intolerant, or depending on what you have on it, and then while you're trying to snuggle up on them, they all gas. You hug too tight, so that could be embarrassing on both ends. So, again, forethought. All right. So this one's actually a little short one this evening. Romancing on a budget. There's nothing wrong with getting when planning out what you want to do to actually get you a pen and paper, pad, write down your thoughts for the evening, and actually checking it to make sure that it lines up within your budget and time, place. And if you're, oh, I didn't touch back on. Everybody knows if you get in a hotel or if you're hosting. But what if you want to go to a neutral location? What would be a good location to go to bring food for a date on a budget? And you really can't go wrong with beaches, public parks within the time frame. Some places have dusk to dawn time frames, so if you're looking to do that. But a pier. One of the nicest dates that I ever had was actually she actually did a candlelight dinner on the beach for us. She said, "Hey, come and meet me at this location. I wanted to talk with you." Okay, cool. I'm thinking we're going to talk, probably walk up and down the beach. And she actually had a candlelit dinner uh, with chicken pasta. That was one of the most sweetest things I think ever, as far as like a woman doing a date for me. And I thought I really appreciate. I still appreciate it to this day. Um, so I'm sure she's smiling right now, listening to it. That I'm referencing that date. That was a very special day, and yeah, it was awesome. Fellows like when people do nice things for them as well. So it's not always physical, but just a thought with me personally. But yes, so you got your vision board for the evening. You know what you want to do, your budget, and what you're going to eat. So, but you don't have your own place. So there's nothing wrong with going to a beach, or even if you're in school. Okay, man, you'll be surprised, especially at a local university. They actually have these study groups that you can actually book, and you can say, "Hey, babe, I booked a two-person study room session for us. If you can meet me at this place at this time." And when you get there, make sure, fellas, make sure you get there early, especially if you got to set up some stuff. But if you're doing it on the campus, I don't recommend you going too flashy because, as you know, when people see something, they're like, oh, and then it's going to cause attention, and then people go, hey, this is for studying, this is that for this or that. So, just kind of use your own judgment when doing things on campus. Um, I know I've actually done nice things in the engineering building at Tuskegee. Um, yeah, you'd be amazed what you can do with a little forethought and sight on there. And again, this topic again for this evening for the podcast is romancing on a budget. So the key points that we had for those tuning in were actually coming up with a vision board. Okay, find out what you want to do. All right, once you find out what you want to do, come up with a location, whether you're gonna go to a restaurant, neutral location like uh, a partner's house, Airbnb, or even extended stay where you're able to cook, and coming up with a budget. So, all right. So, fellas, I don't recommend asking for Dutch or going in half if you, especially if you're entertaining somebody. Uh, that's not a good look. In the wise words of an OG, you got to pay to play. There's always a cost. So, if you're not able to budget, or if it's a real financial hardship, it might be um, time to grind a little bit harder so you can get a little bit more money and just hold back on the day. There's nothing wrong with talking and entertaining and putting money to the side until you're able to go do what you want to do for that individual. No shame in your game. I've actually been there before. I've actually talked about doing stuff with somebody for 4 weeks, not knowing she didn't know that I was actually putting in half now, half later, so I can make sure I was able to have more than enough money. So when we go out to this restaurant, uh, yeah. So if anybody's ever been on a date with me before, I like to eat. I like nice things. I'm going to make sure that we have a good time. And so that's what I bring to the table when I'm romancing with somebody. Forefront, ingenuity. And we're going to eat good, regardless. If we don't do nothing else, we going to what? Eat. All right. So this is your boy J-Rock. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, romancing on a budget. So we got that going on. We got your budget. And when you're eating on a budget, you want to make sure that you're able to fulfill uh, your body without going overboard. So you want to make sure that you have some type of protein. If the lady or the individual does not want to eat too heavy, you can't go wrong with a fish. You can bake it, fry it, saute it. I'm a fan of salmon, but some people don't like salmon. So that's where the communication comes in and asking questions. What type of fish do you like? Okay, there's nothing wrong with getting some catfish, tilapia. A lot of people might be played off of tilapia, but if they like tilapia, salmon, I personally like the rainbow trout from Publix. It's awesome. It's amazing. If you haven't tried it, you should get it. It's well worth the price. And you want to make sure you have some type of vegetable. If you don't want to cook, if you're on a time constraint, there's nothing wrong with getting a side salad and having different choices for the dressings. Okay, ladies like options. Get you about three, unless you know what she likes. And if you want to do like a little bread, you like some homemade bread, use some French toast, scarlet bread. All within budget restraints, we're able to do it. Get you some room temperature butter, add you some garlic salt to it, mix it up, taste to make sure it tastes good, and add it to your bread and bake it. You know, and the events, you make sure you got you some activity. Sometimes they don't always want to watch a movie. Sometimes they want to talk or get you a little board game. Get you some cards. Make things interesting. Or if she just wants to watch a movie, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you have options when you're entertaining. And last but not least, guiding in your expectations. Make sure that the individual is comfortable with their time with you. You don't want to be over pushy. And the more people are comfortable, the more things will progress and open up. All right. So this is your boy J Rock, and I really appreciate you all for tuning in. Love session. All right. And I forgot to let you know that next week I am going to have a guest on the podcast. Our first guest on the podcast. Tune in again on Wednesdays, 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am your host, Jeremy J-Rocksem. Thank you for tuning in. God bless and good night. So good.